Krupakar is basically from management and Senani is from investment. They started to write essays on magazines, wildlife essays on magazines. Then afterwards, they shifted to small documentaries. Then they concentrate on wildlife, especially wildlife. Most of them, of course, you know that wildlife. They have concentrated on the documentary and studies, deep studies on wildlife. So afterwards, they have started to make several short documentaries on wildlife, fox and others, wolf and others. They heard, of course, big name in the world. Their documentaries telecasted in the BBC, National Geographic and Animal Planet. You know that they are all international channels. So their documentary is telecasted in the international channels. So they are with us on behalf of our department and both Department of Electronic Media, Department of Environment Science, and behalf of the industry, I welcome both to this interaction discussion. Of course, now Professor Somsekhar, just I called, I was traveling. Once they confirmed Krupakar and Senani, yes, they were agreed to interact with the students. And immediately I contacted Professor Somsekhar, sir, this is the program which we are organizing. Please, you also cooperate us. Immediately he said, okay, Narasimhan, go ahead. So we can, both the departments can organize. So now Professor R.K. Somsekhar is with us. For him also the Department of Department of Electronic Media and of course from Department of Electronics, from Environment Science and Technology, I welcome to this gathering. Other faculty members, and my own faculty members, students of the both the departments and students from the other departments also, and other guests, those who are in this gathering, are welcome to all for this interaction program. Thank you.
ನಾನು ಈಗ ಸೋಮಶೇಖರ್ ಸುಮಾರು ಜನ ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಅವರು ಹುಡುಗರಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ.
ಸೊ ನಾವು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ನಾವು ಈಗ ನಿಮಗೆ ಮೀಡಿಯಾ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ ಅಂದರೆ ಈಗ ಡಾಕ್ಯುಮೆಂಟ್ರಿ ಫಿಲ್ಮ್ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಈ ದಿಕ್ಕಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ ಫಸ್ಟು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ ನಾವು ಭಾಷಣ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬೇಡ, ಇಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಅರ್ಥ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ನಿಮಗೇನು ಬೇಕು ಅದನ್ನು ನೀವು ತಗೋಬೋದು.
ಅದು ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡಿ.
ಹಲೋ, ನಾವೇ ಅರ್ಧ ಗಂಟೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಉಪಯೋಗ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ನಾವು ಹಲೋ ಸೊ ಇನಿಷಿಯಲ್ ಆಗಿ ನಮ್ದು ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ನಾನೇ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ನೀವು ಇಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರುವಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸರ್ ನಾನೀಗ ಬಾಯ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ.
ಸರ್ ನಾನು ಹಂಗೆ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ಲಾ? ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಬೆಟರ್. Is it okay if I speak in Kannada? How many people cannot follow? I'll just mix Kannada and English. Is that okay? Maybe when you ask question, I'll answer in English, and maybe I'll mix Kannada and English. Okay? Is that okay for everyone? Basically, I'm Senani. This is Krupakar. We are wildlife filmmakers. We have been filming wildlife for the last more than 25 years. Before that, he worked as a journalist for some time. I worked as a structural engineer. But we always had the inclination towards wildlife. Can you please switch off the phone? We always had the inclination for wildlife. So from almost college days, we had interactions with a lot of scientists. So our basic knowledge of wildlife and nature was okay by the time we started our wildlife photography. So it was from wildlife to photography than photography to wildlife. So we were more interested in the intricacies of nature than straight away photographing it. But when we left our other profession, like he was a journalist and I was doing something else, and so when we left our business and profession to completely take up this, so we opted photojournalism and photo essays as an option. To begin with, we were doing a lot of photo essays for local magazines, and Prajavani gave us a good platform for almost 3 years. We were continuously doing a lot of photo essays. And then we started getting opportunities. It is just an introduction about ourselves. Started getting opportunities to do photo essays at least once in a year to outside magazines. And slowly we also got in touch with the wildlife filmmakers, because our ultimate aim was to become a wildlife filmmaker completely. So we got in touch with all those guys. Whenever anybody coming here, they started hiring us as local consultants. So that was supporting our life for some time. And then the photo essays, if we do a good photo essay for an outside magazine, that would be sufficient. If we work for around 1.5 months in a year, if you are not very ambitious, then we could sustain for a year. And that gave us the chance to follow whatever we wanted to do. So we started following wild dogs in the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. Wild dogs. Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. Silnai ante ade. Kadnai Silnai. So we started following wild dogs, and parallelly we were doing all this camera work. Then we started getting camera work in other parts of the world also, so we started working all over the world. But we were not extending it more than 1.5 months, because that was just sufficient for our living. So we spent a lot of time behind the wild dogs to understand them. We had an advantage because we were brought up with some of the finest animal behavior scientists. Ajay Desai, you might have heard about him, but he was studying elephants in Mudumalai at that time. So we were brought up with him. So we had very good interaction with the scientists. That gave us a better insight into the life of the animal which we wanted to follow. Otherwise, when you see an animal, it is just an animal. So when you go in depth, that is when the whole world will open up, and it will be a different world. You start seeing a different world. That will, in fact, will reflect in your films. So just imagine, we were working as cameramen, but from cameraman to become a wildlife filmmaker is like this. You know, you'll be here, you'll get stuck. It's not easy to become a wildlife, cameraman in the highest level. But once you reach there with a lot of practice and skill and experience, you can reach here. But to jump here to become a wildlife filmmaker, a complete filmmaker from pitching to the finish, it's not about just part of it. From pitching to the complete post, you are giving the product. So it is an assignment. That is a different matter than the camera work or doing just editing job or just doing the narration job. Or those are all part of these things. But together, the international commissioners usually don't give it to newcomers. It's very, very, very difficult to jump from here to here. Because even if you are very, very good cameraman, and even if you have a fantastic story to tell and a hard research done, they will ask you one simple question. Hey, you know Harry? Hey, you know Susan? Yeah. Oh, the best thing is, you talk to them. So that means they are guiding you through another producer. So they are not ready to give it to you directly. That's a very, very hard level to jump. We somehow jumped that level. You have to become really, really professional and specialist to jump from there to there. Especially when we are from third world country, it is not easy at all. Especially when you are sitting in the Bristol with all the words and addressing a panel of this big, specialized commissioners, and they will just rip you apart if they want to. Otherwise, they will be just looking at the watch and looking for the next appointment. But in our case, we were lucky. Whoever looked at their watch, after 20 years, they were asking for our appointment in one or the other situations. So you can go from there to there, but it will take a lot of hard work. So here, you might not have heard of our names. This is one way. You are either working or sitting in the electronic media and talking. So there are two different entities. The market is different, the reality is different, and what you see on the television interviews are different. So you might not see the real people on the television interview board, like when a wildlife filmmaker is interviewed. If you really go in depth, if he sits in front of me, he might not be able to talk anything. So it happens so many times to us. People who are so popular and famous in Karnataka, when they meet us in wildlife film festivals, something like that, he'll be literally crying sitting in front of me, one to one. That's how the reality is. It can be very, very harsh. So why I am talking all this nonsense? This is because if you want to take a new path, if you want to take an unbeaten path, it is never easy. But if you can enjoy the path itself and not just dying for the aim or the goal, then your life can be very, very interesting. But you don't need to take us as an example, but that is one way of living. You can enjoy what you are doing on the way to your goal, then your life will be more beautiful. Rather you put in hard work for 20 years and not liking that job, ultimately ending up enjoying your goal for 1 year is not worth it. If you can enjoy all the 20 years, then it's worth it. So whatever you are in, the environmental science or the electronic media or the press media, the print media, is you have opted for it. So you need to enjoy what you're doing. So now let us converse. I think it's better we converse than I'm lecturing. Okay? So if you have any questions, I think we'll take it. On documentary, wildlife, let's not talk wildlife, it is too specialized. And you're all too young and it might not, oh, sorry, if you have environmental students here, you can ask whatever you want.
Can you just brief us from how do you pitch an idea and how do you execute it, the process?
I only know about...
How very specialized with respect to like wildlife?
Madam, we only know about wildlife film pitching in the international level. Previously, when it was very difficult to pitch because we had to go to a film festival. Film festival is one place, the top end film festivals. There are two very, very big film festivals in wildlife. And there are many in smaller countries. But one in Bristol, one in Jacksonville, US are the two biggest. And there almost all the fraternity, all the buyers, commissioners, sellers, everybody will be there. You name it, he'll be there. From Attenborough to Krupakar, everybody will be there. So you can get an appointment and talk to them. Those days we had to do that. And then to follow up, we had to fax them. It was torture. And just to get an appointment, I still remember in 1996 or so, in Bristol, with great difficulty, with a lot of faxing, I'd got appointment with many guys, and end of the day, I was a very fresh face. Only some of the core technical group knew me because we had done a lot of camera work by then. But all the commissioners and producers had no clue about us. So I remember people looking at their watch, telling somebody, then, okay, Senani, whatever you have written, fantastic, just give it. I'll come back to you, don't worry at all. And if they find the story interesting, we would do a lot of research. Lot of research in our field is really a lot of research. Like in journalism, if you are doing an in-depth story in India, it will be 10 days of hard work. But in our times, in our field, it's at least 3-4 years of real bloody hard work, and you go there with a story. You're going to tell them that the unique story, this is what I'm going to get, and this is how the story will be, and this is what I am sure that I can get, and this is the budget I want, and things like that. To take it up to that, you need to do a lot of research and then go pitch it. And people will be looking around and telling people 1 minute, and that. Then they'll be just listening. Very good, very good. Yeah, I find it very interesting. You got my attention, Senani. Don't worry, just give me that whatever you have written. I'll come back to you. And so they'll never come back to you. So to get their attention, you should be really articulate and should be able to present really well. And within the time you get it, within maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, the more you have to really capture their imagination. Once you get it, then if he goes through the story, if he likes it very much, and then tell you, are you sure you can get all these shots, and are you sure this story can be really done like this? And then they'll tell you that, see, you can be a consultant on this story. Then you tell him that, no, I want to do this film.